All right, welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. My name is Paul. I am the Country Hipster. That music you just heard was none other than the Unholy Four and their mega fucking hit song, Dirty Knife. Check out the Unholy Four on Bandcamp and Instagram and YouTube and Apple Music and everywhere you can find the Unholy Four. Guys, we're just a few days away from Christmas. It's Thursday, December the 19th. We are less than a week away from Christmas. So if you buy something from the OutfieldRecordGarage.com, I can't guarantee it's going to make it in time for Christmas. But what I can guarantee is that if you use the promo code, podcast-specific promo code, Santa, at OutfieldRecordGarage.com, you'll save 15% off of your entire order. So at this point, if you haven't gotten a gift for somebody, you probably don't really like them that much anyway. So buy something for yourself, and you'll probably just get a little bit after Christmas. But yeah, You should do that, right? I mean, that sounds like a good plan, right?
And if you want to email me the Adam-specific promo code Santa Baby, I'll send you naked pictures of Paul.
That is not a Adam-specific promo code. Stop trying to make it. You're like trying to make fetch happen. Like you're like, oh, can we make these 16% promo codes off of something?
No,
different?
I'm not even trying to offer 16%.
You're constantly trying to do this.
I'm not offering 16%, Paul. I'm offering 100% off of your clothes. Is what I'm offering.
Nope. You want to jump in on my promo code? You can't have it. You can't have
make my own fucking website, and I'm gonna have all the promo codes that I want.
Yeah, do it. Stop trying to make fetch happen, Adam.
I'm gonna make fetch happen.
So that is my co-host and brother, who is Adam, who is looking much more like himself today. I don't know. Your beard grew pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's what I do is I look in the mirror and I just go, and I just push it out. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Play-Doh, like those Play-Doh people.
Yeah, right? You gotta be careful of it because a lot of times you'll burst a blood vessel in your eye straining like that. So.
Very nice, very nice. So as you can see, Adam is on location. I am kind of at the Outfield Record Garage. It's a beautiful fucking day. So I decided to sit on my back deck to discuss the record we're about to discuss because it's so nice. So there is a good...
And we've already established you got a big deck, Paul.
I have a big deck. This is actually my small deck. I'm on my small deck right now. Yeah. So,
but you trim the bushes around it, so it makes it look bigger.
I trim the bushes around it, so it looks bigger. But then we have the real big deck on the other side. So you got to, sometimes depending on the person, you got to use a smaller deck. Sometimes you need a bigger deck. It's just, it's anatomy. It's just how it goes. So today I'm giving Adam the smaller deck, and there is a good chance while I'm out here, you may hear Tim Curry chime in because the chicken coop, I could actually see the chicken coop from where I am sitting here on the deck, and hopefully you can hear my pond in the background. We got a little waterfall going and whatnot. So
Tim Curry is a boisterous motherfucker.
He is. He's right on cue. Tim Curry here is talking about him. So,
he's like, you guys talking shit.
I know. He's like, you guys fucking talk. You know what it was? He heard you, and he's like, I want to fucking kill that guy.
Yeah, he wants to attack me.
There he goes. Tim Curry will be chiming in as we are here to talk about Texas is the Reason. Do you know who you are? So this is my pick. This is actually my 10th record of season 2. So this is my last record that we're going to be discussing here. We obviously have more records to discuss and more episodes, but as far as I go, I am done. We are doing all Adam, Listener, and Booze and Vinyls for the rest of the season. So that is exciting. So here's some factoids on this. Tim Curry, keep it down. Do You Know Who You Are is the first and only studio album for the American rock band Texas is the Reason. It was released on April 30th, 1996, which was 5 days after my oldest daughter, Kaylee's birthday, the day she was born. Originally, the album had a time of 37 minutes and 42 seconds, but the reissue, which is what we're actually covering and what I own, is 68 minutes 2 seconds. So it's a little bit longer. It's got some extra material on it. That wasn't on the original release. So I believe what it is so they have this, and then they had like 3 or 4 7-inches that they put out, some with like the promise ring and whatnot. So I believe with the reissue, they took that stuff and then added it to the I believe this is a 20th anniversary edition or something like that when they re-released this. It was released on Revelation Records, which a lot of like emo and post-hardcore bands from the 90s were on Revelation, including some bands that I really like: Quicksand, Newfound Glory of all bands, Shelter, Farside, Gorilla Biscuits, and Garrison, just to name a few. A lot of good bands. I think even like Sick of It All was on Revelation and whatnot. So it's pretty cool.
And if I'm not mistaken, the guitar player from Shelter formed Texas Is the Reason, correct?
Yes, he was involved with. Yes, he was in Shelter in the hardcore scene in New York, and just kind of got, wanted to do something different, wanted to get away from it, and then they went with the Texas Is the Reason. So yeah. So the name of the band is actually a line from the song "Bullet" by the Misfits. And the band consists of members from various other bands, including Shelter, the 108, Resurrection, and Cooper. The title of the album is reportedly "The Last Sound." Is reported. Oh yeah, reportedly the last statement John Lennon heard before he died. So I don't know how they could really, say that, but apparently that was the last thing that John Lennon would have been awake and alive enough to actually hear someone say and possibly comprehend. The album was produced by Jay Robbins, and Texas Is the Reason. Jay Robbins has some Discord Records fame as a producer and also a member of the band Government Issues. Definitely some old indie punk rock hardcore feels there for the producer. Do You Know Who You Are went on to become Revelation Records' best-selling album. It has long been considered a my fucking my writing here is horrible. I did this last night, so it's like even worse. The record has long been considered a defining release of all emo albums. Has been mentioned in a few different books. Actually, has been mentioned and featured in the only book that Adam has ever read, Everybody Hurts, an Essential Guide to Emo Culture.
Yeah.
Overall, it's generally positive reviews by the critics. In 1996, I can't read what thing I wrote down here, but it was number 8 on Spin Magazine. Sorry, Spin Magazine ranked it number 8 on Emo Essentials. In 2013, LA Weekly ranked it number 4 on the top 20 emo albums in history. And in 2016, the Daily Dot ranked it number 2 of the best emo albums of 1996, and Rolling Stone ranked it 12 of the 40 greatest emo albums of all time. The band had broken up in 1997, just before they were to sign with Capitol Records. It's a pretty funny story, apparently, according to the Wikipedia, I believe the drummer and the guitar player. They were really kind of on the fence as to whether or not they wanted to go with a major label. And they were in Germany. They were finishing up a tour, and they were like, we're going to decide. If it's an awesome show, we're done. If it's not an awesome show, we'll keep going. And apparently, they walked on stage. Garrett started playing the first song, and you had like 800-900 people just singing the song in unison, and they looked at each other and were like, okay, we're done. We know this is like the pinnacle, which is kind of a cool way to go out.
Yeah.
The members from this band went on to form other groups, most notably Jets from Brazil and the New Rising Suns, which I will talk about the New Rising Suns later on in this episode. They have done some reunion shows, but it has been since 2016 since they played last, and that was a 20th anniversary show for this album. So those are the main factoids surrounding this album. I'm gonna kind of go first, and then I'm gonna let you jump in.
Cool.
And I'm just gonna say I love this fucking album. I love this band. Sunny Day Real Estate and Texas Is the Reason are kind of like my 1A, 1B of emo bands, and it kind of depends on the day as to which one I like more than the other, and my mood and whatnot. I probably lean a little more towards Texas Is the Reason, but I will say I probably don't listen to Texas Is the Reason as much as I listen to Sunny Day Real Estate, which is kind of weird. Garrett's voice is perfect for this sound, for the emo sound, especially the mid to late 90s emo sound. It's his voice is just perfect for what they're doing for these songs. The instruments are like fucking the right tones. The lyrics are great. Recording, it just captured everything about like what to me emo is like to a T. It just delivers like whatever, I guess what they consider the second wave of emo. I think the first wave of emo is considered like even before that, when you had like Rites of Spring and stuff like that. So yeah. yeah, so I have other stuff to say, but that's the main stuff I wanted to say. Adam, what do you think of this album?
Very much like Sunny Day Real Estate, I had a little bit of background with this album. As Paul mentioned, it was the listed in like one of the quintessential emo albums in Nothing Feels Good, um, an essential guide to emo culture. If you want to go the whole title, and so I had remember um, downloading Promise Ring, Sunny Day Real Estate, and Texas is the Reason to check them out. And Texas is the Reason I probably gave the least amount of attention to,
Okay.
regretfully, because this is a very good album.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to this, I can hear. I can hear like so much of what I was listening to in high school, and stuff like that in this album. Um, I was just listening to it before Paul sent me the thing saying he was ready to record, and like even just like not just like I was just listening to Johnny on the Spot, um, getting like very heavy vibes of like early Brand New, like Your Favorite Weapon Brand New, like when Brand New was, that's considered Brand New's pop punk album.
One of my notes I have written here is you could definitely hear the influence of later bands such as Brand New from Texas is the Reason.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely, you can. Listen to that, like it's. I would say so much. I think I said the same thing when listening to Sunny Day Real Estate earlier in the season, that I could hear, like influences of things that I listen to. I hear so much more in Texas is the Reason than I do in Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yeah.
Texas is the Reason just has a little bit more of like a grittiness to it, almost like almost a little bit more of a distorted sound to it.
Uh-huh.
In my opinion, a little bit like not heavy, but heavier than Sunny Day Real Estate.
So Neighborhood Real Estate is definitely a more polished
Yeah.
product than Texas is the Reason is.
Um, but I think it's that it's the grit that makes it, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Sunny Day Real Estate. I actually at one of the Oxford Record Garage pop up shops. Paul was nice enough to. I tried to buy it, but Paul was nice enough to gift me the copy of Sunny Day Real Estate that he had
Sometimes I'm nice enough.
for sale. Um, but so don't get me wrong, I like that album. I like Texas is the Reason more, which is kind of going hand in hand with what you said. It's kind of 1A, 1B. I
Yeah.
think I'm leaning more towards the Texas is the Reason is just one, and Sunny Day Real Estate would be two in that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I deeply enjoyed this album. It made me laugh that like when it was originally released, it was 40 minutes long, and then of course Paul has the fucking version that's like an hour, like over an hour long. I was like, come on, dude, you couldn't fucking have the original version.
Yeah, well, you should probably be glad I didn't have the original version, but that would be for other reasons.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
But I will say this is that like with that right. So I have the anniversary which has like the 20 minutes which I said is I believe is the original release which was 12 songs which ends with Jack of One Eye.
No,
And
the
then
original release is 9 songs.
9 songs. I thought it was 12. Well,
No,
either way.
original. At least according to the Wikipedia, I have it open right in front of me. The original release is 9 songs, ending with Jack with One Eye.
Oh, yep, you're
And
right.
then-
You're right. I'm sorry. Yep. A Jack with
and
One
then
Eye.
the
Yeah.
re-release is 16 tracks.
Right. Yep. And so I believe the additional tracks are like I said the 7 inches they put out. Like well, I know one was with the Promise Ring. I think they did something with Sam I Am, and a couple different. I forget what the third one was, but like I'm actually almost glad that they didn't do anything more than that because I think the fact that they had this one album and then the EPs and they just kind of like was just like fuck it we're done and kind of like faded away adds to the legacy of this band and also like their kind of like mythical existence because when you talk about like emo bands especially the ones where like how we were just mentioning how we're pretty sure like they've gotten influenced by students such as Brand New. I'd probably go as far as to say Taking Back Sunday is probably influenced by
Oh yeah.
by Texas is the reason, and that mid '90s emo thing, but like nobody really mentions necessarily right away Texas is the reason. They'll mention Sunny Day Real Estate, but it is one of those things where you're like, Texas is the reason. Who is that? Or they'll mention the Promise Ring, they'll mention Braid, and these are all bands that have actually done more as far as albums go and touring and I guess musical success than Texas is the reason. But none of them match how great this album is and just how great the presence is. So that's why I'm kind of like, I almost feel like if they went on and to do more albums, that it maybe diminishes what they are now to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see that. I could understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's almost like kind of like as a musician, you play a show, and like because I've done this where I've played a show and I've played a really good show, and I fucking end the show and people are like encore, 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 and if it's right, I won't do it. Like I'll do encores sometimes, but if I feel like I've left you with the type of fucking show that you needed to be left with, I'm walking away. Because it's like, and I'm going to just let that simmer. And I think in a way, that's what not Sunny Day Real Estate. I think that's what Texas is the reason did. They went out on a high note and were like, nope, we just gave you everything we have. And now we're out. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of cool that they they haven't done that. So,
yeah,
they haven't tried to put out a new album or anything like that.
I like that story that you told. It's like, there has to be a moment in an artist's career where they have to. I'm sure that they sit back and look and goes, this is the greatest thing this is the greatest thing I'm ever going to do.
Yep. Yep.
Everything else will just be diminishing value after that.
Yep.
You hear people say it a lot, like when they create something, they say like, this is my Beethoven's Fifth. And I think that's like the kind, and like I can respect the fact that they recognize that and went out on their terms on a high note. It almost kind of reminds me of like The Simpsons. Like at The Simpsons, I used to love The Simpsons when I was a kid, and I can't fucking stand The Simpsons now because it's been going on for so fucking long. You just can't do there's at a certain point you just can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And I feel like like The Simpsons probably could have ended, I don't know, a while ago, and like going out on that like high note would have been better than what they're doing now.
I remember being in grade school and like The Simpsons just starting, and like all the teachers were like, "You shouldn't try to be like this Bart Simpson person." I'm like, it's a fucking cartoon. Who gives a shit? But like, yeah, it was funny. Like that was like a thing back when I was like in like 4th or 5th grade, and it is pretty amazing that The Simpsons are still doing it. I would think you would want to hang it up, but I guess the money machine keeps happening, and then when Disney gets involved, it's
I say when you keep beating that dead horse and it keeps spitting out money, you don't stop.
Yeah.
So
it's like move on. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, I never got to see Texas is the Reason live, even though they did play in Philadelphia in a very short period of time. From basically, they joined it. They became a band and started playing shows in 1995, and were only around until 1997. So in a very short period of time, they played Philadelphia 5 times.
Oh wow!
A 2-year period. The last 2 times being at the Silk City in that time period. I think they did come back in like I think it was like that 2016 area where they were doing the reunion tour, and they did play the Union Transfer, and I think I couldn't get tickets, or I had something come up that I wasn't able to go to it, so I was a little upset by that. But yeah, in that short period of time, they played 5 times in Philadelphia. The last 2 times at the Silk City on Spring Garden in Northern Liberties, which is really like it's like a fucking small diner with a little music venue, and that would have been a great place to see them. I know they played the Troc, they did the Unitarian Church, stuff like that. But that being said, after this band broke up, Garrett and a couple other people, a guy from Into Another, and I forget what other bands, they formed a band called the New Rising Suns. And even though I never got to see Texas is the Reason, mine and Sean's old emo band Disunion got to open for the New Rising Suns.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so it was very much it was like a very much kind of last minute sort of put together thing. It was down. We got the show through our boy Punk Rock Tony, who used to own the and run the Stalag 13 in West Philadelphia. We also went to grade school with Tony, and he turned us onto it because he was talking to the people at the Pontiac Grill. Pontiac Grill became the Pontiac Grill after the original JC Dobbs closed. Someone bought it, opened up the Pontiac Grill, had shitty sound, but still had like that JC Dobbs vibe, and still had some cool bands coming through. So it ended up being, I don't know if it was last minute or just a very under prepared all ages show on a Sunday afternoon, but it ended up being us. He told us that it was Garrett from Texas is the Reason and his new band, the New Rising Suns. And apparently, the headliner was supposed to be the Get Up Kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, and we got thrown up the bill like really kind of last minute. So we went down and we're like, fuck, let's do it. So the Get Up Kids never showed up. There ended up being some band from like DC that they got to come up last minute called like Red Crimson or some shit like that. And so it ended up just being like barely anybody was there. There were like maybe like 5 people there. But it was just cool. And it was cool like meeting Garrett and talking to him. What was funny is about it is that he accidentally booked it at the Pontiac Grill. He actually wanted to do it at the Silk City, but got his fucking locations mixed up in Philly.
Oh, wow.
And what was great was, number one, the sound that day was absolutely horrible. We could barely hear a fucking thing like on stage. The monitor mix was bad. It was just like, oh my god, we were having trouble tuning. It was just like it was a mess. Probably not one of our best shows as a band, but it was still cool playing with it. Excuse me, playing with him. And what was kind of cool, well, I don't know if it's cool or not, but like when they're doing their sound check, and I think he was totally 100 fucking percent serious about it. When the New Rising Suns are getting up to do their sound check and they start a song, Garrett gets right into the fucking mic and just yells real loud, "Anybody got any cocaine?" And everybody's just kind of looking at each other like, "Oh, this guy really wants some fucking cocaine."
I mean, hey,
Yeah. I was like, all right. So, but yeah. So that was my connection to Texas is the Rising and the New Rising Sun. So I will tell you that he was a cool guy. You know what I mean? Even if he has a like propensity towards cocaine
I say he was a cool guy despite the coke problem.
yeah, maybe it wasn't even a problem. Maybe he just liked to dabble a little bit. But
Yeah. Um, this album, Paul, is this very much like Sunny Day Real Estate. It was kind of a shocker to me when I saw that it was on your list.
really,
Yeah, because like when I think about you and like think about your musical taste, my brain doesn't go to like, oh, Paul knows who emo bands are.
but that's the thing. I know what good emo bands are. That's why I
Well,
make
that's the thing. Yeah, so like
bands
in my head, like it's just like you and emo music don't mix because like you make fun of me for the emo shit that I listen to.
because the emo shit you listen to sucks. My emo music's good.
Yeah. So yeah, this was another one of those things where I was like oh, I'm like I know Sunny Day Real Estate, I know Texas is the Reason. Didn't know Paul knows those two bands.
Well, so that kind of surprises me too. That makes me wonder: do you know anything about like timelines?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Because like when this stuff came out, would have been the perfect time where like because this album, like I said, this album came out in April of 1996, which I was 19 years old at that
Yeah.
time. It was like the perfect time for me to discover this. I was 19 years old, working a full time job. I wasn't in. I had left college, and my girlfriend just had a baby. So and
Yeah.
actually, we weren't even together when she had the baby. So we were actually broken up. And yeah, so I definitely needed some emo music in my life at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No. When I think of Paul, I just don't think of. I think of like I imagine you during this time period, like just very like strictly like punk music and like stuff like that. Like
I think I was punk younger than that. I think my punk like really into punk. It was really because it kind of went back and forth between punk and like new wave. Was probably like high school. Like I definitely got much more in the emo and whatnot like post high school, which I
yeah,
think is when it kind of because I graduated in '94, so I guess the second movement of emo would have started to take off around that time. Um, but yeah, no, I just yeah, that's that mid to late '90s. Yeah, I was all about it. I was all about the, I mean, I always went back to Fugazi. I always loved Fugazi. I
Yeah.
like Minor Threat too, which goes to the punk stuff. Dead Milkman, I was always, always into. But no, I mean, once I got to that point where I just kind of wanted something a little bit different that like wasn't. It was like the emo music for me then was kind of the perfect mix of between punk, some of the hardcore I liked. I wasn't and still am not really a big hardcore fan.
Mm.
Um, and the Smiths. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? A Smiths and the Cure. So when you take all that stuff that like I was really into the Smiths and the Cure, I was really into like some like old punk and whatnot, and then you take it and you make this sound together like the Sunny Day, the Texas is the Reason, Promise Ring, Braid, Jazz June, Jejune, all the Captain Jazz, all the jazzes, all those bands that were around at that time. Uh, uh, Sensefield, which was another way had a cool like interaction with Sensefield at the Warped Tour one time, like hanging out with those guys. When you take that sound and combine it together, it's really kind of like was perfect, like a perfect evolution to the things that influenced me as a teenager and like as a young adult musically, and I got into. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. What it turned into with that, although I don't mind Brand New and the Wonder Years, but like a lot of that fucking stupid emo shit you listen to, I just like, oh, this is so horrible. They don't even do it well, you
I
know.
say that when like thinking about like how like you don't care for a lot of the emo shit that I like, it kind of makes me think like I wonder if like Texas is the Reason kept making music, if it would have diluted to the point where it got to like the stuff that I was listening to that you don't like.
Which is why I'm glad they didn't continue making
Yeah.
music. Do you know what I mean? Because you can definitely hear their influence on some of those bands. Most notably being Brand New.
Yeah.
But again, both Brand New albums we've done, I've both times I was very pleasantly surprised by them and did enjoy them,
Yeah.
or most elements of them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even like Manchester Orchestra, I enjoyed them. You know what I mean? And I think they're more of like, they're probably a little more I would consider more indie rock than necessarily emo, but they're in that vein as well.
Yeah.
And you get that influence. So like I said, I am kind of glad that they didn't continue making albums, that they
Yeah.
have like this like little discography that is just fucking solid and perfect, and you don't need to do anything else to it, because I do think it probably would have diluted into something that I probably wouldn't have liked, which does happen. Like I say, I love Diary by Sunny Day Real Estate. I think the Pink album is okay. I don't really listen to too much else Sunny Day Real
Yeah.
Estate, and like I couldn't tell you anything off the Fire Theft. I tried listening to some of their side projects, which just didn't do it for me, and that's it is possible. It was just the evolution of how the music was going. But when you think of the bands that I like the most, a lot of them aren't around anymore, and the ones that
Mm.
are, I'm still not listening to them. And if they're doing new music, I'm probably not buying it.
Yeah.
So it's
I
not
say
that
I'm very much in that. I'm very much in that same vein where, like when I was in high school, bands that I would like are like, oh, they're coming out with a new album. That's awesome, and like almost just like loving the album just because it's that band and not actually taking the time to really analyze the album,
uh
um, and really go very in depth with it. Just kind of like, oh, it's the new whatever album. It's great because it's that band, and it's nice that like this band never gave you that opportunity to like they made a great album,
Yep.
and they never gave the opportunity to just oh, New Texas is the Reason, it's great, but it's kind of shit.
Yeah.
um it's I like that, and I respect that a lot,
Well,
especially
it's like
like
you say, like our favorite what is it? Our favorite perception of a band is usually the first introduction to it, and we don't have another perception. This is the
yeah
only perception we have of Texas is the Reason is this album, and that's why I think it holds, and it still is still great. Like they didn't even give us the opportunity to say they suck.
yeah
You know?
exactly
So this is on Revelation Records, and it's kind of, I'll tell you a little funny story about Revelation. It's when I was working for the now defunct Soundstage Direct. I was the buyer there, and we would have record labels because at the time they were one of the biggest online record stores in the country. And so we would have actually the record labels contact us directly and say, hey, why aren't you selling our records, sort of deal. And I didn't put two and two together. I'd been kind of out of the whole emo scene for a little while anyway. And but I'm the buyer, and I'm on the phone with someone from Revelation Records, and they're talking about it, and I was like, oh, Revelation, man, yeah, that sounds familiar. I was like, wasn't there a label back in like the mid '90s that did like a bunch of like emo stuff and all that? And they're like, yeah, that's us. And I was like,
He's like, yeah,
oh.
we're still doing that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, hey, man, do you still have like all the old like demos and press kits that people sent you? And he was just like, we actually probably still do have some of them around. I'm like, cool. Can you look for disunions? Because I definitely sent you guys a press kit back in the day. And he just laughed. He's like, oh God, I have no idea. He's like, yeah. I mean, we did throw a lot out. He's like, but yeah, there's a possibility it's sitting back there. Which is actually where I ended up getting this record, was because then we opened up a Revelation, got a bunch of their stuff, and right at that time, this was getting released. So I definitely put that on there, and put it onto the site, and just straight ordered one. I think I ordered one for stock, and then ordered one for myself, and this is the one that I got. So, but like this sound, this band, like everything about this, like listening to this over the last like week or so, literally just like put me, like, you hear just the beginning of it, just puts me back to being like 19, 20 years old, and like hearing it for the first time. And that's one of the things I love about this album, and music in general, especially on records, is how well, the nostalgic factor is with vinyl, and how it can bring you back to these places. And just it's almost like building your own time machine. It's just like, just get a vinyl, record collection, preferably build that record collection from OttsvilleRecordGarage.com, and then you're building your own time machine. It's kind of cool.
Use the promo code Santa
and get 15% off through the month of December at OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. So yeah, so no, this is definitely highly influential album. I know definitely the stuff that not the stuff that Disunion started off with. The stuff Disunion started off playing was probably a little more towards like the Fugazi sound, a little more hardcore, a little more almost, hate to say it, metal influenced to an extent. But as we progressed as a band, our sound definitely developed more into a Texas is the Reason style of writing, guitar, melody lines with the guitars, not as many chords, you know what I mean? We ended up eventually only being we started as a 4-piece band with 2 guitars. We eventually ended up being a 3-piece band with just guitar, bass, and drums and vocals. It definitely, this album, I think, definitely influenced Sean from the Unholy Four, who was the guitar player and the other singer in Disunion. Definitely influenced him and his writing skills and whatnot, especially for that time. And, just a great album. A great album, great band, and like I said, my only regret with Texas is the Reason is that I never got to see them live. I think Sean saw them at least twice. I'd have to check with him. He might have seen them 3 times, 3 of the times they were in Philly, but I know he saw them at least both of the Silk City shows.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I'm very happy that I got to, like I said, when reading that book and discovering music from it, this was probably the one I gave the least attention to. When in reality, I definitely should have given more attention to it, because it's a very good album.
Yes.
But Paul.
Yes, Adam.
You picked the album. You care about the album. Yes. You love this album. I like this album. But who gives a shit?
Nope. Nope, it don't matter.
There is a sweet little baby angel who likes to destroy her room before nap time.
Yes, she does.
Who is just on the other side of that wall.
Well, she's pretty far back, but yeah.
She's pretty far back, but she's on the other side of the wall, Jason.
She's in there.
What does Regina think of Texas is the Reason?
So, I will say that Regina started off with this as like a slight indifferent, but after hearing it a couple times, it definitely turned into a like. But like, she likes it. She doesn't like every song. There's certain parts of songs she likes better than others, and there's certain songs she likes better than others. It is going down as a like, because it's not quite an indifferent, but it's like, if like Indifference here, like she's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just above the Indifference scale on it. So, but it definitely wasn't like she was liking definitely some of the guitar lines and the riffs and was kind of like singing along with them. And I think she liked Garrett's voice as well. So that was kind of cool. So for my final Regina factor of season 2, I'm at 8 likes, 1 dislike, and 1 indifferent. Adam, you are at 5 likes and 1 dislike. The listeners are at 2 likes, 1 dislike, and 1 indifferent. That's not right. I don't think that's right. I think the listeners have more dislikes, and I think I wrote down the wrong number.
We're also little
I
behind the scenes. We're also recording out of order, so you may have done that thing where you're
no. This is in
okay.
order. This is actually in order. So no, I think I wrote down their numbers. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let's go back real quick because I do have my notes from the other episode.
Gotta go back in time.
Go back in time. This makes for great radio as I'm flipping through my notes from the another episode.
This is the visual. This is the visual part of the episode.
Okay.
Kristen's not getting this because she's listening.
2 likes, 1 dislike, and 3 indifferent. So okay, so I had the indifference wrong for the listeners, and then Tom is at 3 likes. I'm going to tell you right now, this was really the top 3 on this was very, very hard for me to do because when I look at the 16 tracks on this album, 11 of those 16 tracks easily could have been my top 3 on this album. And the ones that I did, basically, man, and it probably would change on a daily basis because like as I was putting this together and kind of because I like when I'm doing my top 3, if I'm unsure, I like to go through track by track and just kind of listen to it a little bit and be like, oh no, does that do it for me? Does that, you know what I mean? So on any given day, I probably could have swapped out a bunch of other songs. And all 3 that I did put for my top are probably all tied for number 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they are right off the bat, Johnny on the Spot. Fucking great way to start an album. Great opening riff. Just into it, and it's just fucking great. The Day's Refrain. And my number 3 is it's. Hold on. Let me make sure because I can't read my writing. I want to make sure I read the title right. Where the fuck it go? Oh, if it's here when we get back, it's ours. I also have an honorable mention, which is a little bit different of an honorable mention. We don't usually get into this as much, and we usually poo-poo them on the Country Hipster podcast. But Do You Know Who You Are? The instrumental is my honorable mention on this because I think it's actually a really, as far as instrumentals go, it's a solid instrumental with that's not just thrown on the album like kind of like the ones from Pet Sounds. That are just like, what the fuck is this? Or there was another album where I can't remember what it was, but it was like only like an 8. It was the fucking Buckingham.
The Buckingham Nicks,
where it's like 9 tracks and 2 of them are stupid instrumentals. You know what I mean? It was just like, what are these? And they're not even good instrumentals. Whereas like the instrumental on this is just fucking good. It's a good instrumental. So, what are your top 3, Adam?
My top 3 is very heavy with the JFK assassination. I have Magic Bullet Theory, Back and to the Left, and then I have Something to Forget. Throw a fucking coin in the air and you get version 1 and version 2.
Okay,
doesn't matter to me. Okay. But I'm going with those. I'm going with those as my top 3.
Nice. Do you have a least?
I do.
What is it?
Now, my least is I had a very hard time picking a least.
Okay.
So I went with the easy way, but again, I will agree with you. It's very good. It's a very good instrumental, but just because I couldn't pick a least, I took the easy way. I took the easy way out, and I picked "Do You Know Who You Are" as my least.
Wow.
But again, "Do You Know Who You Are" is a very good instrumental, and I think an instrumental that works very well on the album.
Yep.
I strictly, like I said, it's the low hanging fruit, so I plucked it. just because I wanted to take the easy way, but not the easiest way of going. Oh, I don't have a least favorite. I'll
Uh-huh.
just pick the stereotypical country hipster podcast fucking instrumentals
Yeah, so
right
lame.
out of it.
So lame.
But I do enjoy that instrumental, and I think it works really well on the album.
Yeah. So my least is kind of like a similar thing. Like it really like I don't want to say like I don't and I don't hate this song at all. It's just it's
Mm.
literally like if this song was on somebody else's album, it might be the best song on that album. For me, I think it's the least of this album, but it's still a great song, and I don't hate it in any way whatsoever. I love the song, and it's Every Little Girl's Dream. That
Every Little
probably
Girl's Dream was almost when I initially listened to the album. Every Little Girl's Dream was my bottom.
Okay, yeah, and that was the thing. It was really hard and like kind of going through it because I had another song. I forget what it was that I thought like that's probably going to be my least. And then I listened to it again yesterday as I'm going through. I'm like, no, I fucking love that song. And like
Yeah,
that was the hardest thing I had yesterday. Is like every time like I would go to the next track. I'm like, all right, maybe this is the one, and then like something would kick in or something would hit, and I'd fucking go back to being like fucking 19 years old and pissed off at everything. I'm like, no, this is a fucking great song. This is awesome. So that is what really made that this least favorite the hardest to do. But I did it. I was able to
yeah,
figure it out. So
we got there.
I have here, right here. Okay, so this is a. I'll show you. I'll show you what I got. It is a blood
Ooh,
orange 2-disc repressing. It's from 2013. So I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff about this record, and I'm going to let you shit your pants for a little bit. It has this little insert here that has the lyrics and also has their full tour schedule from 95 to 97. Although I think it got into a couple of the 2012 dates that they did. Yes, it
hmm.
does. Which is cool. This apparently had a download card, which I doubt I have anymore because I don't really keep them or I don't really, so I might have lost the download card. But that is mine here. So now this is indeed a first press. What's up?
Question.
Yes.
So say you have a copy of this. Say you have a copy of an album that comes with a download card,
Uh huh.
and you have since lost the download card.
Right.
Is that going to affect the resale value of that at all?
No, it shouldn't. Some people might be assholes about it, but
Yeah,
like, you know what
like
I
people
mean?
are like,
But
oh, it's not complete. Like it doesn't
yeah,
have.
but the way I look at it is if I'm buying it, I'm buying a record. I'm not trying to buy a download card. If someone's
Yeah,
really that worried about the download card, then they're trying to buy it from you so they can resell it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're looking at it as an investment, not as something they want. And I have many different feelings about that. I mean, especially as someone who resells vinyl.
yeah,
I don't price gouge vinyl though. You know what I mean? So I don't look at something and go, well, it sold for $300 on eBay, so I'm going to sell it for $300, even though it's a $5 record. Like I don't do that shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Do I sell for fair market value? Yes, I will sell something that's a fair market value, but I'm not going to put something at some super high price just because I can. And if someone's going to be that specific about buying a record as to whether or not it has the download card, they're probably buying it for resale anyway. I did have a guy who bought a brand new factory sealed record from me and messaged me, and it was like a new release. It wasn't like some old, release, or so I don't even remember what it was. But he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, there's no download card for this." And I looked up the description and whatnot, and I'm like, "Yeah, there is no download card for this. Nowhere on the description of the
yeah,
album or on my listing does it say there's a download card for it." He's like,
yeah,
"Oh, I thought a lot of records came with download cards." I'm like, "They all don't, buddy. You're buying a record. I don't know what to tell you."
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I honestly think he might have returned it because of that, which was kind of funny. I'm just like, yeah, all right, you can return it if you want, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying
What
for your return shipping.
what a dick.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, whatever. So this guy here, right? So my blood orange copy, right? This is a first pressing of the reissue from
Hmm.
2013. There were only 500 pressed on blood orange vinyl. The
Yeah.
next 1,101 were on 180 gram black vinyl. So there was a second pressing with
Is
only
your
what?
blood orange feel like 180?
Um, it probably is. It probably
Yeah.
is. So the second pressing, there were 504 copies on clear orange vinyl that were released. So it includes lyric sheet with the insert and whatnot. And like I said, I looked up and turned out Texas is the Reason played in Philly 5 times in a 2-year span, and I missed them every single time.
Mm.
On Discogs, if you find this version on Discogs, there's actually currently no offerings for sale of this on Discogs, but it has sold on Discogs before. It's just this particular pressing. There's no units for sale, and they've sold ranging from $15 to $50 each. So, Adam, can you guess based on all that information, what would you say my Discogs value would be on this beautiful record I have here?
I don't know how, but it's probably worth like more than my car somehow.
You think
probably
so?
have like you probably just have some other stupid fucking thing that's gonna just strengthen your lead. just fucking say it.
So you are so wrong, because those are not the rules, and we go literally by the Discogs value of the Very Good Plus value. Believe it or not, Very Good Plus value, resale value, MSRP on Discogs for this is $22.43, which only makes it $23, which I honestly think is very, very low. I'm not saying that it should be a couple $100 record, but considering all the the little special things about this, I was surprised that it was only $23. So that brings my final big D value, which you guys all got to try to fucking catch up to me now. That brings my final big D value of season 2 to $823. $823. Now, I just want to point out, you eclipsed 1,000 in season 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I won the big D last time around, I broke 1,000.
Yes, but how many records did it take you to break 1,000?
I'd say it took me 25 records to break
25 records, and I'm at $823 on 10
half
records.
that. Less than half that.
Less than half of that. So, so I think if we kept going, I would eclipse $1,000. So, but that brings me for the season total of $823. Right now, the listeners are in second place with $429. Adam, you are in third place, right behind him with $419. And Tom is bringing up the rear, as Tom likes to do, at $162. So right now, I have about a $400 lead on all you bitches. So you guys got a lot of work to do. I mean, this is what episode number is this? 20 something. So we have some. This is episode 24. So we still have 12 episodes to go. You guys have a shot. Now, I did not, since I'm out here, I did not pull out the box of Mike, but I did pull out the envelope earlier. It's envelope number 33. I will tell you that I already know what the album is. It is a mystery beer episode, and it is one of your picks. It was. I will say it wasn't originally a mystery beer episode, but then we had some switching around, so something that was a mystery beer ended up not being a mystery beer. So then I made this a mystery beer. So there you go. So you get another mystery beer. I believe we're going to be on location again when we film this, and it is your pick, and it is Modern Baseball. You're gonna miss it all. Yeah. So I can tell you. Let's take a look. This is pretty. It's got some kind of
I don't know why, but if I'm not mistaken, I got this from you.
You might have.
I'm almost 100% certain I got this from you.
I know during season 1 there was some stuff that I think that you did buy so that we could talk about it on season 2, and this might have been one of those records. It's a pretty record. It's definitely pretty. I know nothing about this band. I know nothing about what this sounds like.
Philly-based.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did not know that. I've heard of Modern Baseball.
Well,
we're
Philly-based. They're no longer together, but they were from Philadelphia.
Okay, they were from Philadelphia. Okay, all right. I'm interested in checking it out. Interested to see how it all shapes up. But I'm literally going into next week's episode blind. Oh, I just realized something. The record, the color of your record on this, almost matches my vest. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
It could be like an accessory. I could make a necklace out of it and wear my vest.
Just tie a string and.
There you go. We are also a fashion podcast now too.
Yeah.
we will mix your vinyl collection with your outfit, and so that way you can pick the right one to wear, the right record to wear with your shirt and your vest.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Do you have anything else?
Um, no, I just like I said, I was excited to give this a better listen. Excited that you picked it. Excited that I now know that your music tastes are broader than I expect them to be. And the same thing as I always say: listen to this album and form your own opinions. But it's a good one.
Yep. All right. Cool. On that note, it is time to